Good morning, Carolina Village. My name is Aline, and you have found yourself in another session of the Village Vitality series. If this is one of your first times, or maybe your first time, I'm so glad that you've decided to try it out. You will need for today's class just comfortable clothing, barefoot. So go ahead and take off socks and shoes unless you've been told by your doctor that you pretty much need to keep footwear on anytime you're doing any kind of physical activity. Um, and you'll need a chair, preferably without arms, because we will be shifting around side to side in the chair, and it's definitely much easier um, to do that without arms. And also, chairs without arms can add a little more challenge with some of the strengthening exercises that we do in the class. Now, you'll notice that I do have a mat underneath me. That is not a requirement for this class. I would say the only time I would require it would be if your chair tends to slide or slip around on the floor while you move. Otherwise, you really don't need it, but it is a nice touch with our standing postures and our semi standing postures to be able to root down into that mat if you have a hard floor. Truly, if you have carpet, especially if it's plush carpet, I don't really recommend the yoga mat. It kind of is um, makes the surface a little less stable, which some may argue would help with balance, but I think it just kind of throws you off potentially. And we do want to be as safe as we can while we exercise in our rooms. So, with that being said, today's class, we are trying to focus on having fun. Hopefully, you guys have fun all the time when you take this class. But as tensions build around politics and coronavirus and all the other stuff going on in the world right now, I think it's really easy for us to take ourselves too seriously, to take all of the situation around us too seriously, and then we get in this negative bubble space, this negative mental space. And so for the next hour, let's just focus on our bodies, focus on some good, fun challenges. So I will be challenging your coordination today, doing some movements with arms and legs that'll be, you might end up laughing at yourself because you might not be able to do it. But again, we're trying not to take ourselves too seriously, trying not to get frustrated. We're just seeing what our bodies are capable of and where we may have limitations that we need to address. Okay, so with all that being said, let's get started. Today, we'll be doing for our centering technique a pranayama or breathing exercise called Brahmari, which is bumblebee breathing. And this one is a fun one. It's really easy to do, so it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power. And it's really beneficial for ears, nose, and throat with the vibrations that we create by this technique. Of course, it's great for the lungs, and it's really good for stress relief. So it really tends to bring stress and anxiety down, lowering the heart rate, the blood pressure, the breathing frequency, stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest, our relaxation mode of our nervous system. So, for this exercise, if you normally come to the edge of your chair to practice your posture, you can totally do that. But I might encourage you today, in the sense of trying to have fun and take it a little easy, not necessarily meaning we won't work hard today, but in order to really focus on the breathing technique and relax a little bit, I'm going to encourage you to lean back in your chair. And so notice my posture is still very open in the front of the body. I'm not letting myself hunch down, which is really easy to do. I'm still trying to keep the spine long, even though I'm kind of leaning back. And I'm trying to keep the chest open. And that's going to allow for my rib cage to expand and open for my deep inhales, and my belly as well. So, once you've found a somewhat upright, somewhat aligned, yet relaxed posture, bring your hands wherever it feels most comfortable for you. You might want to bring a hand to the chest to feel the vibrations, feel the heartbeat, but that's totally up to you. And of course, you can be at the edge of your seat as well, working on your upright posture. So go ahead and let the eyes close. And before we practice this technique, let's just take a moment to check in and observe our breathing and our inner landscape. What's going on in your body today? And maybe there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe a lot of it is not great. Perhaps you're dealing with some pain today. Let's observe and just try not to let the focus be negative. Instead of labeling good or bad, let's just try to look at it as a uninvolved observer. Just trying to notice, taking mental note, of scanning the body. The mind is such a powerful tool. If we tell ourselves, oh yeah, I'm feeling my arthritis acting up, that's really terrible, I hate that, it's going to be hard to overcome it. I'm not trying to say that, oh, we can just will our arthritis pain away, but if we frame things in a more positive or even just neutral way, it can really change our perspective, which can shift our reality. And so just see about those observations. See about how easy or challenging the breath feels today. And let's bring hopefully a little bit of ease to that breath by introducing our pranayama or breathing technique. And so for this technique, all of the breathing is done in and out through the nostrils. The inhale is a normal, maybe deeper than usual inhale. And on the exhale, you'll just make a humming sound. And you'll probably notice that the exhale automatically lengthens when you're focusing on making the sound. And try to relax the jaw, the tongue, keeping the face relatively relaxed, even though there's a lot of sensation happening there with the vibration. So inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through the nostrils. It is okay to smile if that breathing technique just wants to bring a smile to your face. Take a couple more rounds of that breath until it feels like your whole body is buzzing. If you're practicing with a spouse or partner today, see who can buzz the loudest for these last 2 or 3 breaths. Maybe taking 1 or 2 more breaths if you would like, or when you are ready, allowing that technique to just release, returning to your normal breathing, but noticing the sensation of vibration that remains in the body. And if you are leaning back in the chair, just begin to activate the muscles in the core. Of course, you can use your arms as well to help press you up. And let's scoot to the edge of the seat. This is very useful little tip in trying to maintain proper upright posture. A lot of times if we're scooted back, it tends to want to make us tuck our tailbones under, tilt the pelvis back, and then that causes flexion or rounding in the spine. And so we see this posture very often, and especially with the chin jutting forward. And you may think that this is an exaggeration, but no. Try to observe people around you the next time you're around others, especially if they're sitting, and see if you can see this posture happening. It's very common, and you'll see it in yourself as well. So I like to think of inflating the torso with inhales. So I'm inhaling, almost like I'm just trying to pump all of this up. Each inhale buoys me up a little bit more, lifts me up. And in that sense, my breath is actually helping bolster me and lift me up. It's not just muscle effort. And so trying to stack the rib cage over the hips. So we don't want the extreme opposite of our flexion posture, which is most common. A lot of times we see the overcorrection. Well, I'm going to just press my chest out and, be super almost really in a back bend position. We don't really want that either. We want to keep the neutral curves of the spine. Someday I'm going to get a skeleton in here so I can show you guys. But we do have natural curvature in the spine that we want to maintain. So there is a bit of a forward curve in the lumbar, a little bit of back bend in the low back. But here in the thoracic, there is a little bit of forward bending that we want to keep and maintain. So we don't want to press the rib cage forward. We want to keep it stacked. And then shoulders over the rib cage. So again, shoulders not moving forward or in like a military stance moving back. And then trying to align the ears over the shoulders. Very common to see the ears moving forward from the shoulders. And so we want to just kind of try to almost tuck the chin, not under or down, but almost tucking it back. Tucking that chin back, ears over shoulders. And we want to try to maintain this posture at any and all times, like 24/7. The more you practice here in the chair, the more you'll probably be able to maintain that in your everyday life. So relax the arms down by the sides and go ahead and grip a little bit underneath your chair with this left hand. You're going to lean over to the right just slightly, starting to already probably draw a stretch across the top of the shoulder, maybe even into the neck. And then drop that right ear down towards the right shoulder. So notice that stretch, um, probably from behind the ear all the way across the top of the shoulder. And we're just going to shift that stretch. So pressing the chin now down towards the shoulder, and then ear towards shoulder. So I'm still in that slight lean, and I'm still dropping down to that right side, but I'm just shifting my head. So chin pressing towards shoulder, and then ear pressing towards shoulder. Notice if you're starting to lose the posture here. It's easy to do that when we're focusing on other movements. So try to open the chest, lift up with that inhale, and maintain that posture even while you're focusing on other areas and moving. You guys having fun yet? One more. Chin down towards shoulder, and then ear. And on an inhale, come up to center. Relax that left hand. Just noticing differences between the right and the left side, which may feel pretty extreme. And that's normal. Let's even it out. So now my right hand is going to grip underneath the chair. I'm going to start to lean over to the left without leaning forward. So again, I'm trying to maintain that neutral spinal alignment. And then I'm going to drop that left ear down to the left shoulder. And from there, you may just want to hang out here. Maybe that feels best to you. Or you can try pushing the chin towards the shoulder and then ear towards shoulder. And what this is doing is it's just drawing the stretch into different muscle groups. So the one way we're stretching stretches one neck muscle more, and then when we shift our head, it stretches different neck muscles more. So essentially, we're just trying to get into all those muscles that hold our head up. Tightness there is so common. Who knows whether stress causes it or it causes stress? It's a vicious cycle. So we're just trying to break that cycle here. Can also, tightness in this area can lead to headaches and other issues. So it's more than just some discomfort. Next time you drop ear to shoulder, on an inhale, lift that head back to center, relax that right hand. Hopefully feeling a little more evened out. Let's get some more movement into the whole spine, shoulders and chest. So we're going to work on our circular cat and cow movements. And this one is maybe a little bit of that brain challenge, hopefully fun. Maybe you laugh at yourself trying to figure it out. But I like to think of dropping to one side first. So I'm almost moving into a bit of a side bend. I'm trying to drop my shoulder down towards my hip as I start an exhale. Then as I continue to exhale, sorry, I didn't think about getting my hair out of the way here. As I continue to exhale, I'm rounding out, scooping here, pressing my abdominals, navel back towards the spine. So it's a bit of abdominal engagement, but nothing extreme. Trying to round. And then as I start my inhale, I'm side bending over to that left side. And then as I finish my inhale, I'm moving into my back bend. So one more time, slow motion. Exhale. Finish or continue the exhale. Sorry about adjusting the hair. So that should be more fluid if you're not messing with your hair. Start to inhale. Finish your inhale. And so go ahead and cycle through 2 or 3 more times on this or in this direction. Remember to move with the pace of your breathing. So you may move faster or slower or at the same speed as me, just depending on your breathing today. Take one more circle in that direction, and then we'll switch directions. So once you get to that back bend, now with your exhale, just start to circle in the opposite way. And we'll be bringing back our bumblebee breathing later on in the class. But you can always use it at any time that you would like before I cue it. Take one more circle. I'm going to do a one-armed circle here. See, I'm just trying to entertain you guys. That's all. I did it on purpose. And relax once you find yourself back in the center. And let's start to bring some of that opening, getting the synovial fluid warmed up, getting the joints moving in the lower body now with a little brain teaser sequence. So hands come back behind you. You're going to straighten the right leg, and at the same time that you straighten the right leg, you're going to tilt back. It's not a huge abdominal engagement, so I don't want you to go so far back that you're like, oh, really having to engage. We do want to wake them up, but we don't want to overdo it too early on. So we're straightening the right leg, leaning back, and then releasing. Tap out to the side and tap back to center. So straighten and lean, come up, tap, and back to center. With that tap, we're trying to go as far out to the side as we can. So warming up all those muscles in the hip and getting the hip moving through a big range of motion. And I've probably beaten this point into the ground with you guys if you've been hanging out for the whole 25 plus sessions of this series about the importance of moving your joints through their full range of motion. I can't overstate that. It is so critical. Even when there's some discomfort associated, you know, as we age, we're gonna most likely have some issues like arthritis, a little bit of joint degradation, many numerous things that affect our ability to want to move. But we sometimes have to work past that as long as we're not experiencing sharp shooting or pinching pain, which can possibly be nerve related. All right, so let's do one more. Just trying to work with your regular breathing. Next time you tap out to the side, hang out there. Bring that foot down. So root that foot down. Let's just take a little side reach over to that right side. So potentially, just depending on how tight you are, stretching that inner thigh. Definitely a nice little stretch in the side of the rib cage. Really try to open that chest forward. Taking a breath or two here. On an inhale, coming up. See if you can straighten that leg out and place the sole of the foot along the ground. So we don't want the toes lifted up in the air. We do want to try to root that whole foot down. And we're just going to try to twist over to the left. So you might feel that increase the stretch in the inner thigh. Or if you're pretty flexible, you might not feel anything. But twisting is great for the spine. So we are benefiting from this, whether you feel it or not. Just taking another deep breath here. And on your exhale, releasing to center. Go ahead and bring that leg back to the middle. Either dragging it in or placing it in without any assistance. And let's do that same sequence on the other side. So hands behind you. As you straighten the left leg, you lean back, engaging those abdominals. Release, tap, and back to center. Straighten and reach back. Come up, tap, and center. And tap. So remember, just normal breathing, maybe exhaling as you lean back, inhaling as you come up, exhaling as you tap, inhaling as you come in, or whatever other breathing pattern you want to establish. Really just want to make sure you're not holding your breath at any time. Holding our breath is not great. It can increase pressure in the thoracic cavity. It can actually make the movement harder. Like sometimes you feel like holding your breath gets you through it, but it can actually have the opposite effect. And we never want to work against our breathing. We always want to try to incorporate our breathing into the movement. All right, let's do one more. Next time you tap out to the side, keep that foot down. Just sending that left elbow down along the left leg. Or if that's too much of a side bend, maybe your hand is there. It's up to you how deeply you want to stretch today. And again, just trying to press that left shoulder forward, right shoulder back, so that that chest stays open. Wonderful stretch to the intercostal muscles between our ribs, which are accessory breathing muscles, very important. Maintaining good oxygen saturation of the blood. Take an inhale up. Exhale to release. Go ahead and straighten that left leg out. Try to root the foot down. Just nice and tall posture here, remembering the curves of the spine, even if you don't know exactly how it curves. We're basically just trying to stack everything on top of one another and maintain that in our twist. So as I twist, I'm trying to make sure I'm not hinging forward, leaning in any one direction or another. I want to stay stacked on my axis. And that's where the great benefits of twisting comes in. If we execute it correctly, we get some really nice stimulation of fresh blood flow to our abdominal organs. It's wonderful for the spine. We increase fluid uptake in those intervertebral discs that tend to dry out and get flattened as we age. Go ahead and release that twist. Come back to center. Let's do one more movement to continue our warm-up here. So focusing on the feet now, we're going to point. So just trying to lift those heels up and get as much pointing action as we can. Flexing, trying to lift those toes up as much as we can. And then opening, I can't ever remember, and it's inversion and eversion. I want to say this is probably inversion. So rolling in on the arches and then rolling out on the outer arches. Now the key with this one is trying not to play with the knees. So it's not a knee movement. The knees are staying isolated. It's an ankle movement. And that may be very challenging. So again, let's point, flex, out to the sides, and in on the arches. Maybe hands are on the knees to just help you know whether you're moving them or not on that out and inward inversion and eversion. Couple more times. So pointing, flexing. You've probably heard me mention that ankle strength and stability is critical for fall prevention, for just everyday movements, doing them well and doing them with strength and confidence. So actually increasing the range of motion in the ankle joints, the way that we're doing this is actually fine-tuning and strengthening a bunch of those little muscles running in the feet and the ankles. So even though we're having loads of fun, we're really benefiting our bodies too. It's not just all fun and games. Okay, one more time. I think I already said that, and we've probably done 5 more since then, but this is really the last time. Okay, relax. Make sure again that you're at the edge of the chair. You're finding what's called seated Tadasana or mountain pose. So knees are hip width apart, ankles are under the knees. We'll take a vinyasa next, and what that means is essentially a forward fold and then a coming back up from that fold. And so when we fold forward, we want to maintain a nice straight spine. We can fold forward with the arms overhead, which is probably the most challenging way to do it and maintain a flat back. We can fold in a swan dive position, arms out to the sides, or we can fold with hands just along the legs, which if this is your first time, let's go with hands along the legs. Or if that just feels best to you, go for it. So take a deep inhale. Either way, your arms are coming up, lengthening in the spine. On your exhale, fold forward. And in this fold, you're trying to maintain the length in the spine as long as you can. Once either you can't maintain it anymore or the belly hits the thighs, then you can start to allow yourself to release forward. Try not to fidget like I'm doing with your hair or anything else. I'm just trying to make sure my hair doesn't take out my microphone so y'all can still hear me. And so once you folded forward, remember, you know your body better than anyone else, whether you realize it or not. So if your body is not comfortable in this position, if you have vertigo or uncontrolled high blood pressure, really low blood pressure, you may not feel great here. And what you may want to do is just lift the head so that it stays level with the heart. So you're still getting some benefits of stretching the back and stretching the hips, but you're maintaining that head in line with the heart. But if you feel okay here, really try to let your body release forward. Roll out the shoulders. Turn the head side to side. Relax as much tension as you can. Don't fight gravity here. Let gravity pull you deeper into your stretch. We're going to bring back that Brahmari breathing here in a minute or two. But go ahead and on your next inhale, start to re-engage. Start to lift the head first. Maybe the hands slide here underneath the chest. Don't come all the way up. So I want you to come about almost all the way, but not quite. So you're in a bit of a forward fold, but you're able to maintain a back bend type position or a flat back. So I don't want you to be so far forward that you're rounding, because that's not going to be beneficial or helpful to your back. So even if that means you have to be pretty much upright, that's okay. You just want to try to hinge forward as much as you can while maintaining that straight back. Gaze at about a 45-degree angle in front of you. So I want you to keep the neck neutral. Maybe even imagining you have your fist, or even actually taking your fist and doing this, so that you're just ensuring you're not cranking that head up. Go ahead and send those arms back behind you. Lift them up as high as you can, inhaling and exhaling, releasing. Inhale, lift. So what we're doing here is practicing a pose called locust pose in yoga. It's one of those magical poses that is so beneficial in numerous ways. It's traditionally practiced, so keep lifting your arms on your inhales and releasing on your exhales. It's traditionally practiced on the stomach, so you would be on your stomach, legs out behind you, and you'd be lifting the chest and arms and head off the ground. But we're able to get some good benefits from it here just in the chair as well. number one, strengthening the back, but so healthy for the spine. And on your next inhale, go ahead and come all the way up now. All right, so let's crank it up a level on the fun factor and on the challenge factor with our next movement. We're going to inhale, drawing that right knee in towards the chest. On the exhale, you're going to take a Brahmari breath or a bumblebee breath, like so. And you're going to extend the leg out and rock back. So let me just show you, and then you can practice with me. So we're going to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Go ahead and join me when you're ready. Exhale. If you want a little more challenge, don't hold the leg when you bring it in. Just tuck it in with your leg strength, hip flexor strength. Really focus here on trying to keep the spine long. So don't lean so far back if you feel like you're starting to round or scoop out. We want to keep this lengthened, flat. Stick with it. 2 more. On this last one, see if you can hold it here and pulse that leg for 5. Breathe normally. 3, 2, and release that leg down. Whew. Don't worry, we'll stretch the front of the hip here in a minute. But let's go ahead, since we're just in this perfect positioning, let's move forward into a nice forward fold position. So right leg stays straight. My hands and so the weight of my torso are on this left leg. Make sure it's not on the knee, so you're on the thigh. And again, you're trying to lengthen the spine as much as you can, really trying to push the tailbone back. Belly pushes forward. And you should feel the whole back of that leg kind of lighting up and giving you a lot of sensation, talking to you. Just trying to stretch those tight back chain muscles. So our back chain is basically a line of muscles and fascia that run from our plantar fascia. You've probably heard of plantar fasciitis. Some of you may suffer from it. So it runs from here all the way along the whole back of the body up to the back of the head. And it's all connected via our fascia or connective tissue. And when we stretch the calf, that helps with plantar fasciitis. That helps with tight hamstrings. It's all connected. So we want to try to stretch as much as we can together and know that this is helping with your plantar fasciitis even, not just tightness in the hamstrings. So slowly come up when you're ready on an inhale. And let's get the front of that hip. So we're going to shift over, kind of keeping that right foot where it is, shifting over to a low lunge, well, really a high lunge, crescent lunge position. And so I just pivoted onto my back toes, shifting in my chair until I feel that stretch in the front of the hip. Now, it's not so important for the back leg to be straight, but a lot of times if you just let that leg bend, or if you're not in a very wide stance where your feet are far apart, you're not going to feel as much of a stretch in the front of that hip. So I really encourage you to wiggle that foot back and back until you feel like you are getting that stretch and that you should stop and you shouldn't go any further. Basically, once you've found your edge of stretch or sensation. And you may want to take a little twist over to that left side. That will really help to increase the stretch and move the stretch a bit into the abdominals as well. This is also fantastic for the toes and the back foot. Even if it doesn't feel fantastic right now, it is great to get through this range of motion in the foot and the toes. So just normal breaths here, a couple more. When you're ready, you can release the twist. Slowly just start to release all the way back to our seated mountain pose position. So again, coming to the edge of that chair, finding the alignment in the lower body, finding the alignment in the upper body or the stacked spine. So take a moment, maybe even hands come to the rib cage. Those of you with some scoliosis, either diagnosed or possibly undiagnosed, we actually, I don't want to say it's common, but you can develop scoliosis based on habitual posture patterns. Think of things like you always wear a bag on your left shoulder. And so either you're always kind of leaning a little to that left side, or you're overcompensating, lifting the left side because of the heavy bags on it, and you're leaning to the right. But either way, even just something as simple as that, we can develop scoliosis. You know, it would be pretty mild, but still kind of crazy. That's, again, why we work on the posture. All right, let's take another vinyasa. So on your inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, deciding how you want to move forward this time. Maybe swan diving like I am, or maybe arms overhead. Again, I apologize, getting that hair out of the way. And trying to release here. Maybe you're warmed up enough and it feels accessible to you to try to grab opposite elbows and let that added weight sink you a little deeper into your stretch. What's happening here is we're tractioning or lengthening the spine, the space between each vertebrae is increasing a little bit. We're letting gravity stretch us out. If you can do this standing, it's even more beneficial. And so don't try to do this from your chair, but basically a standing forward fold would be pretty much the same position, except you're standing, so you're getting a hamstring stretch as well. Release that clasp of the arms. Slowly start to come up, think of leading with the backs of the shoulders. So you're trying to engage that area, lift up, not with the back of your head, which will be tempting to do. So coming to that locust back bend position. So again, you are in a position where you're in a slight back bend, you're not letting the back round. So if you're feeling that rounding, keep coming up until you can open the chest forward and be in a bit of a back bend. And so from here, we're just going to send those arms back, and we're going to hold here for several breaths. And notice that on your inhale, it might buoy you up a little bit. So inhaling, you're lifting a little. Exhaling, you're sinking a little. Maybe close the eyes here. Again, try not to lift with the chin. We want to keep that neck neutral. One more inhale. And on your exhale, release the arms. Inhale to come all the way back up. And let's get ready for our super fun sequence on abdominal strengthening. So remember, this time, left leg. We're going to inhale, drawing that knee in. Exhale, as you tilt back, straighten that leg. Hum. So you're going to go at your pace of breathing. Remember, the most important thing here is not how high your leg is. It's not how far you've tilted back. It's how long you can keep your spine. So really make that your main focus. We're trying to do about 10 of these. I don't know if I told you that or if you noticed we did that on the other side. We're about halfway now. So keep going. Hum as loud as you can. Maybe change your pitch or tone. I'm not a music person. Remember, if you're a little crazy today, you want more challenge, don't hold that knee when you tuck it in. One more, and we're going to hold and pulse, but don't hold the breath. And breathing regularly. 5, 4, open that chest. 2, and 1. Release that leg down. Let's relax forward. So again, think of keeping length. Make sure not to lock that knee out. We want to keep a little bend. You may even come behind your knee and just ensure that it's not locked out, because you'll feel kind of a little bulge in the back. You'll feel it very straight. You want to feel a little bit of a bend back there. And so we're releasing forward here. Maybe the forearms are down on that thigh. Perhaps you have a hand here on the front of the ankle or top of the shin. Or if you happen to have yoga blocks or anything else that you may be able to just kind of rest your hands onto, that can be quite nice to support you in this stretch. And then, of course, there may be some of you that are hardly leaning forward at all, and that's totally fine as long as you're feeling stretch and sensation. Again, it's not about how far you can go. I think we need to reframe our mindset, especially when it comes to our bodies, because there is no perfect or ideal except for ease, right? We're all just going for ease of movement, which means different things to different people. So for some people, that may mean being stronger. For some people, it may mean being more flexible. For most of us, it's probably both of those things, a combination. And that's the beauty of this type of class. We do a combination. We work not only on stretching, but also on strengthening, also on coordination, also on balance, also on breathing, also on your mental space. All right, take an inhale to come up. Let's shift over into our nice hip flexor stretch in our lunge position. So I'm pretty much going to keep my leg where it is if I can, and just start to shift over in my chair. So toes are curled under, leg is relatively straight. Again, I'm not working on like forcefully straightening it. That's not the point here. That could be the point if I want to strengthen my quads, the fronts of my thighs. But I'm really just trying to focus on stretching the front of the hip and the abdominals. So moving into your twist, if you would like to, just twisting a little bit to that right side this time. Play around even here with kind of the tilt of the pelvis. So it's really easy to dump that belly forward. I want you to just play around with trying to tuck the tailbone a little bit in this position. And just notice what that does to the stretch. Even a little subtle movement like that can be a huge shift in your stretching sensation. So just taking one more deep inhale here. And on your exhale, just release the twist. Pause in your lunge for another breath. And then slowly release that lunge, coming all the way back to center. And now all the way to standing. in any way that you see fit. If you would like to join me in a bit of a challenge, I swear it's going to be fun. That wasn't an evil laugh. All right. So we will be trying Utkatasana chair pose. This is a game-changing pose for strengthening. It will strengthen pretty much every major muscle in your body. So to come into this, number one, you need to have a decent sense of balance. So if you have trouble just getting out of your chair without using your hands, I don't recommend you trying this. Go ahead and get yourself up and come behind your chair and get ready to join us. If you can get out of your chair without pushing off with your hands, then I would like for you to try it, unless you just feel like you're going to fall flat on your face without there being something in front of you. And if that's the case, you can always grab a chair, an additional chair or something else to have in front of you, so that you can catch yourself. But you're going to walk those feet in. Feet stay hip width apart. Your heels will probably be lifted unless you have just crazy flexible ankles. And you're going to start to shift the weight forward like you're moving into a forward fold. Try to press those heels down. Send those arms out. If you need to, you can get a little momentum to just kind of rock forward and lift those hips up. But don't come up to straightening the legs. We want to stay in this yogic squat position. Arms up is going to be the most challenging. Bring those hands to the heart to focus a little bit more on your alignment and strength. And then if you feel good here and you feel good with balance, send those arms up. Let's take 3 Brahmari breaths. Maybe going a little deeper. Whoo. And on an inhale, slowly come up. Exhale. You can sigh, relax the arms. Nice job. Shake it out. Let's all meet back at the back of the chair here. And if you have a mat, you may want to shift your chair forward so that there's plenty of room behind you for some standing postures. So we're just going to work through a sequence on each leg 3 times on each side. So starting with that right leg, we want to make sure probably about 6 to 8 inches, 6 to 10, I don't know, I'm not the best with distances. Decent amount of space between your hips and the chair. Feet are hip width apart, just like in our seated Tadasana. Now we're working on standing Tadasana or mountain pose. I want there to be a little bend in my knees. They should not be locked out. So my quads are engaged. Moving to the hips. I'm centered over those feet. You can even kind of shift all around and feel yourself center. Ribs over the hips. Abdominals are engaged. Chest is open. Shoulders are drawn back behind me just a little bit. Shoulder blades are pinching just a little bit. Chin. Back. And this should be the standing posture I strive for at all times. Doing dishes, walking, standing, talking to friends. But what we tend to do is everything but that. So let's work on it and have a fun challenge while we do it. So to move into our little sequence, shift your weight over to the left just slightly without dumping into that hip, bending that right knee. You're going to take a big step back with that right foot into a high lunge position. So back toe or back heel is lifted, front knee is bent. This should feel a little challenging. You're activating the legs. It's not an easy posture. If you want more challenge, Let's have opposite arm lift. So left arm lifts. Take a deep inhale here. On your exhale, just start to root the back foot down and straighten the front leg. So we're moving into a pose called pyramid. You're going to start to hinge forward. Really think about pushing the left hip back and pushing the right hip forward as you hinge forward. Again, this left hand can be on the chair for more support. Holding this stretch. Not holding your breath. Trying not to lock either of the knees. So both of those legs are straight, but we're not locking the joints out. From here, start to bend into that left knee. Start to push off with the back foot, coming to warrior 3. Lift that back leg as much as you can. Again, this left hand can be on the chair. I'm just showing if you want a little more challenge version. And then slowly come back up to standing. Deep inhale. And exhale, release. All right. Good practice. Let's do that 2 more times. So big step back with the right foot. High lunge. Bending into that front knee. Abdominals are engaged. Chest is open. Maybe that left arm is up. Taking just about 2 or 3 breaths in each position. Slowly start to push the back heel down as you straighten both legs. Hinge forward. Pushing that left hip back, right hip forward. So this kind of movement energetically. Back stays flat, long. So you might not be this hinged forward. You might only be about here or pretty much upright. That's totally fine. All variations are equally beautiful. Start to bend into that left knee. Lift that right leg up. Drop the chest forward. So I forgot to mention this is our balance work as well. Even if that hand is down, this is still going to be a decent challenge to your balance and building strength and endurance in the ankles. Inhale to come up and exhale to release. 1 more time on that side, then 3 times on the other side. So big step back. High lunge. If you haven't tried lifting the arm, try it now for this last round. You can always bring the hand down as you transition between the postures, which I recommend if you're wary of your balance. So I'll demonstrate that this time around. So as I transition to pyramid, I'm going to bring this hand down. I'm going to try to bring that back heel down, straighten the front leg, and then I'm going to hinge forward. Now, if I want to challenge myself once I'm in the position, I can send that left arm forward. And to transition to warrior 3, I'm going to bring this hand back to the chair, bend into that front knee, pivot back onto the back toes, kind of springboard or push off with that back foot even. And once I'm in that warrior 3 position, then maybe I send the arm out. And now it's time to make your way up. So you can bring the hand down and slowly come up. Yes, good job. Let's do it on the other side. Sometimes the second side is easier just because we've already worked out all the mechanics in our brains. But sometimes it just depends on which side is your dominant side in terms of strength. So finding that Tadasana again, setting the foundation. You've probably realized practicing that sequence, we don't want to be too close to the chair because when we get to that warrior 3, we don't want to be too close to the chair. All right. So when you're ready, slight shift to the right, bending that left knee, big step back, high lunge. You can wobble that foot or wiggle that foot back further if you need to. We want the front knee to be bent and knee over the ankle. See if you can bring that arm up. Again, maybe you're just bringing it up once you're in each posture, but bringing both hands to the chair while you're transitioning. Get ready for pyramid. So pushing the back heel down, straightening the front leg. Right hip pushes back, left hip pushes forward. Lean that chest forward. Keep the spine long. Feel that stretch. Again, maybe that hand comes out for a little challenge if you would like. Right hand. Hand comes back to the chair to bend into that right knee. Push off of those left toes. Coming into your warrior three on this other side. Try to drop that left hip down. It's very easy to lift that hip on accident. We want to try to keep the alignment in the pelvis, protect those SI joints where the sacrum meets the pelvis. And then maybe now you're sending that right arm out. Right hand comes down to transition up. Next time we cycle through, I'm going to show the arm lifted the whole time if you want a little more challenge. So again, starting with that high lunge. Remember, you may want to bring this right hand down to your chair during the transitions. Root the back foot down, straighten the front leg, push that right hip back, left hip forward. Start to lean forward, pyramid, Parsvottanasana. Just a couple breaths here. Start to transition into your warrior three, bending that right knee, lifting back onto the left toes, maybe pushing off with that left foot just a little bit, trying to drop that left hip down. And slowly come up on an inhale. Yes. All right, last time. Get ready. If you haven't worked with the arm up at all, try it this time, but maybe just after you enter each posture. Big step back. High lunge. Again, trying to kind of tuck that tailbone a little bit. See how that changes the stretch and helps you engage the abdominals. Back heel presses down. Front leg straightens. Again, maybe this hand comes down while you do that. Finding pyramid. Left hip forward, right hip back. Slowly bending into that right knee, pressing into your last warrior three. And again, sorry, I meant to show this right hand coming down first and then back out. But maybe you did it with the arm out. Woo! Maybe you've been laughing at me the whole time, suggesting that you even lift a hand away from the chair, and that's okay too. On an inhale, come up, maybe with the arm lifted. And exhale. Yes, relax, you did it. Let's take one final cool down stretch before Shavasana. Nice work, you guys. So, you probably know, you probably are already going into it. My favorite standing downward dog stretch. So hands on the chair. Can start to walk those hips back just as far out as you feel comfortable before you then kind of settle deeper into the stretch. So remember, the knees stay bent, but not super bent because we do want to stretch the hamstrings. Chest releases down. I'm going to demonstrate one more time, but pretending I'm at the wall. So go ahead and stay there if you feel good there. If you feel like this is just too much, hands can come to the wall. I'm going to use this. All right. I'm actually going to turn this around. So pretend this is my wall. Hands are at the wall, but I'd probably bring them a little higher up. Okay? So hands at the wall, probably about shoulder height, maybe a little lower. Same principle. I'm pushing out or walking out away from the wall and coming into that stretch. So really the wall just allows you to come into your standing downward dog, but with less depth, and which usually means less intensity. So go ahead and hang out in whatever version you're in for just a couple more breaths. Trying to relax the head down if that feels okay to the shoulders. This can be a pretty deep shoulder opener if you sink deeply into it. So just be careful. Listen to that body. And when you're ready, slowly start to come up. Head lifts first. It's pretty common to experience some dizziness when we have dropped our head in line or below the heart. So take your time, slowly coming up here, walking those feet in. And you did it. Let's relax. So coming to Shavasana, you can do this in your chair. You can do it laying on the floor, laying on your bed, laying on the couch, in your recliner, basically wherever you feel most at ease, and you can relax your body the most. I don't have many options because I'm on a stage, so I'm going to stick with the chair, although coming to the floor and putting your legs up in the chair is a wonderful option as well. But what I'm going to do to try to get as comfortable as possible is just lean back, kind of similar to what we did in the beginning of class. So I'm just leaning back, not so focused on staying open, but I really don't want to fold or hunch over myself. So trying to keep the chest open, yet staying relaxed. This time my legs, I'm just going to kind of let them fall open to the sides. And I like to, if I am in a chair, just so I'm not using any arm effort, I kind of will maybe clasp my hands or just very lightly cross, and just kind of the weight of my arms keeps them in place. So again, just trying to relax as much as you can. Let your eyes close. And just notice what the body feels like now, what the breath is doing now. Maybe your heartbeat is elevated. Maybe you can feel that. Just closing the eyes again and seeing what you can observe. This practice of becoming familiar with ourselves. Most of us spend our entire day ignoring our bodies, ignoring our breath, ignoring our posture. Partly because we're just so distracted by all the other sensations out there, the visual things, the signs, the people that we pass, the TV, whatever we're looking at. We tend to be absorbed in and lose any and all observation of ourselves. So bring it back. But remember, we're observing without labeling. Even if you feel 1,000 times better than you did before class, we try not to label that. We just try to observe. Because when we say things are positive or negative, we form attachment to an outcome. And that can often lead to disappointment and that vicious cycle of anxiety, depression, and all of that. And so as you relax here, feel as if a sense of heaviness, fullness, relaxation is washing over your body with each breath that you take. Just sinking deeper into your chair, the couch, the floor, whatever's supporting you right now. Letting the muscles release their effort. Letting the bones rest heavily, supported. And now see if you can start to create the opposite sensation in the body. Feels heavy right now. Can you start to bring a sense of lightness, airiness, almost as if your body has no bounds? It's just merging with the air around it. And see if drawing your inhales in a little deeper, as if you're breathing life back into the tissues, the muscles, and the bones. And with that breathing and those deep inhales, just starting to bring a little bit of movement back to the fingers and the toes. And just starting to make those movements gradually bigger, incorporating more joints. No right or wrong here, just kind of stretching out. Yawning if you need to. It's a very common reaction. And when you feel awake enough or ready enough to open your eyes, you can do that gradually, or you can certainly keep them closed. And you can stay in Shavasana longer if you would like to. But when you are ready, just coming to a seated position if you can, or if you're laying down, maybe just bringing hands together in front of the heart. And just dropping your chin to your fingers and just expressing gratitude and love and compassion to yourself, to anyone else that you need to send that to today. And thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your practice. Namaste. Again, my name is Aline. If you have any questions, comments, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find my information on the hub, or you can call the front desk if you're unsure of how to access my info. But it would be in the hub in the staff directory. And my name is Aline, Aleen. So you can just search that. I'm the only Aline around here, I think. Pretty sure. Please just go out, have an awesome day. Try to find the fun in things. Try not to take things too seriously. I'll see you next time. Bye.